We have a new vision for America.
You were against same-sex marriage, now you're for it. You defended President Obama's immigration policies, now you say they're too harsh. You supported his trade deal dozens of times. You even called it the gold standard. Now, suddenly last week, you're against it. Will you say anything to get elected?
It doesn't matter what the freaking legal and ethics people say. We need to win this motherfucker.
I would love to be able to regulate the content of speech.
Let's talk about helping children, and let's talk about when they matter and when they don't. And a whole slew of people who are mad at Trump have raised about $5 million to help illegal alien children separated from their parents at the border. They don't really know what they're going to use the money for yet, but hey, they've raised it. And you know what? They did it almost overnight. So okay, if this is really all about having compassion for kids in need, here are some others that you might not know about. Glad you asked. A 12-year-old little girl named Shania O'Flynn was shot to death in Chicago last weekend after coming down from Michigan to visit her dad. She was a cheerleader, she played soccer, and she would have turned 13 next month. And all she was doing was standing in a park when she was hit in the neck by a bullet from a random drive-by shooting. A 12-year-old boy was shot in the stomach last week in Chicago's East Garfield Park neighborhood. A 4-year-old was shot the week before that. Where's the outrage? Where are the cameras? These are Black American children born right here, living right here in a left-wing city where bullets fall like rain, and the liberals who've run this city for over 100 years don't seem to care. You want to talk about kids fleeing gang violence? Here they are, right here in Chicago. Where is their congressional hearing and their national press tour? And check this out. More than 3,500 sex trafficking cases were reported to the National Human Trafficking Resource Center last year alone, and those are just the ones that we know about. The International Labor Organization estimates that 1.2 million children are trafficked each year around the world, and that the United States is one of the top destinations for child sex slavery on the planet, and it's fueled by an open border policy. Where's the media outrage? Is this not worth losing our minds over? See, it's interesting when the children matter and when they don't. They didn't matter when Obama was holding them in the same exact detention facilities along the border with the same razor wire and the same chain link fencing and the same padlocks and concrete floors. But suddenly, oh, now it's all about the kids because we can use them to make Donald Trump look like a heartless bigot. Kids don't matter when they're lying dead in the street in some Democrat-controlled city whose violence is out of control thanks to left-wing policies. But they suddenly matter if they're caught on tape crying in a temporary housing shelter in Texas. They don't matter when our open border policy encourages human trafficking and sex slavery, or when a 15-year-old girl in Maryland was found beaten half to death by 3 illegal alien MS-13 members who took turns hitting her with a baseball bat 28 times because she wasn't being a good enough prostitute. That was in January. Where was her national GoFundMe? Now, I'm all for helping children in need, but we've got plenty right here, and we can barely care for those, and that doesn't seem to bother the left at all. Because, see, this isn't about kids. It's about Trump. And being mad that we're no longer just letting anybody jump the Rio Grande and set up shop. So if you really care that much about children, if kids being temporarily separated from their parents who've broken the law really bothers you that bad, then get off of Twitter, head on down to your local Child Protective Services office and ask what you can do to help. And then maybe I will listen to your righteous indignation.
We had on a subject related to this, asylum seeker, refugees, etc. I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be, when people realize that this is a policy. And I don't see any prospect for legislation here.
Why not?
Why not? What do we do here? We do nothing. We do nothing.
Burning cars and smashed windows. A small group of protesters dressed in black, their faces covered, armed with hammers and bricks.
I came out here to stand in solidarity with the Antifa brothers because I love them. You know, it's time for us to rise up and take back what is ours. And I'm talking about the children of the cotton fields. See, the children of the cotton fields, we're going to raise up and we're going to take back what is owed to us. And we're bringing death to the slave master and his fucking children.
Strictly principled anti-fascists.
What we saw were some brave people risking their lives.
That group protests fascism.
Antifa are people who go and they try to push back on these.
Those people who are online making fun of members of Congress are a disgrace. We're going to shut them down and work with whoever it is to shut them down, and they should be prosecuted.
We have a new vision for America.
That he frankly should be, his Twitter account should be suspended. The privilege of using those words in that way should probably be taken from him.
I would love to be able to regulate the content of speech.
Americans who own guns will have to sell them to the government, all of them. You know, the critics call this confiscation. Are you proposing taking away their guns, and how would this work?
I am. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.